All right, so this is sort of like a part 2 of my campaign style XP rant. Not really a rant. Rant always sounds kind of negative. But I got a phone call when I was recording the last one, so that's why I'm picking this one up where I left off. I was getting to how I usually do Hollywood moments, and how I used to do bonus experience when I would do the Hollywood moments. And now what I do is I just give them advantage. Since I'm talking about D&D, when I do the Hollywood moments, like when someone does something really cool, or they jump off of something that, realistically they probably shouldn't have, because it's, leaping over a bar, swinging downward with their greatsword or whatever. So I reward that. Now, I might make them do an athletics roll or acrobatics roll and then their attack, because it might come with some extra risk involved, but there's a payoff, and that payoff is advantage, or in the past it used to be bonus XP. Now, I'm not telling you guys to do that either. Earlier I was telling you the purpose of this channel isn't to tell you how to play your games. The books, for example, for D&D, they give you rules for the guidelines of the game, but they don't tell you how, like what style you should play. It doesn't tell you how to role play. It doesn't tell you, you have to talk in first person or third person or any of that, So it doesn't tell you whether you should say hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, now go watch your show. It doesn't tell you whether you should give up narrative control to the players at all, and let them take some liberties. It doesn't tell you those things. So, again, my channel's not telling you what to do either. I'm just giving you ideas and hoping that maybe I inspire you guys to try something different that maybe you'll discover that you love. That's the purpose here. So again, when it comes to something like this, you need to think about the style you like. If you don't know, try some different things. But don't just try them. Let your players know, like, hey, or if you're a player and you want to try something, ask your DM if you can try these things. See what they say. Talk about it with the group. But don't just do it. Just ask, like, hey, before the session or whatever. Hey, is it okay if we try something different where we do this a little bit? Like, there's optional rules, for example, in the DM's guide for, I think, like fate points, kind of, or player narrative points where they can change the narrative. It's kind of like inspiration. So try different things if you don't know what you like. If you know what you like, reward the behavior you want to see at your table. I can't stress this enough. I cannot tell you how many games I've played where I've got mixed signals from a game master or dungeon master because of the behavior they rewarded. Or, like when you give someone inspiration for something, but then later complain that's not the style you want at your table, that's a contradiction. Don't reward it. Like, reward the behavior you want. You see it all the time in games. I mean, at least I always do. And it's kind of confusing sometimes. If you want your players to take narrative control, then let them. Don't shoot their ideas down. If you want your players to come up with a big backstory, reward them for coming up with a big backstory. If you don't want them to come up with big backstories, don't feed into every hook from their backstory. Again, it's about rewarding the type of behavior you want in your groups. For example, I like some backstory. I'm not going to read 5 pages of backstory. So I'm not going to go through there and find a hook. Like, I'm not going to get annoyed that you sent me a 5-page backstory and then weed through your whole backstory and tie into everything. Like, I'm not going to do that. You know, I'll read probably the first couple paragraphs and give you a couple things. But the person who gave me a single page, I'm going to do the same thing. Give them a couple things, and that's how I'm going to do it, because that's what I want to happen. I don't want to read a novel before I play a game. I have enough prep to do as a dungeon master. You know, and if you want to write 5 pages of backstory for yourself, that's cool. Can you paraphrase it and trim it down and give me the summary? You know, can you give it to me in less than a page? Cool. If you want to not come up with a backstory, that's cool too. I don't have a problem with that, you know. Besides, I like to turn the narrative around on the players and ask them questions, you know, sometimes. Like, hey, would your character know a noble? Would your character have a close relation to someone who is part of the Thieves Guild? What about this town? Do any of your characters know anybody from this town, or are they from this town? You know, I like to turn it around and ask the questions to the players. You know, so that's what I do. So anyways, when I hear the kids crying, doesn't sound like they're getting along about their TV show. Oh, now they're laughing. You know, so this again still goes with XP stuff, you know. If, for example, I like to let my players have narrative control. So if they give me an NPC that inspires me, I'm probably going to give them advantage. Or not advantage, inspiration. If, you know, they are trying to feed into the story and help me, again, the collaborative storytelling aspect of it all. If they're collaborating on this with me and, you know, coming up with personal ties occasionally, not to everybody, but occasionally with their characters to some of the NPCs or to the town or the lore of this area, then I'm going to reward them and go with it, you know, because again, I love that. That's my favorite games have had players who immerse themselves in the lore and contribute. Not just go along with it and have me tell them everything, but, you know, they role play, they'll add stuff that I never said, you know, and they won't go way out in left field with it. It'll be reasonable, you know. I mean, you don't want someone who's going to take a fantasy setting and go some whole other direction about, like, UFOs. You know, that's not what I want to play. I'm there to play fantasy. If you want to say, yeah, there were some hunters, some dwarven hunters in the woods, that's fine, especially if there's dwarves in your setting. So, anyways, I'm going to wrap it up there. Okay, I'll come get him. All right, I'm going to end this there. But, you know, I would love to hear your thoughts below, whether you agree. Do you agree about rewarding the behavior you want? Do you do bonus XP? Do you know, any of that stuff? Do you do milestones? You know, have you dabbled with playing a leveling system that is, for example, like a player character dies, and so they come back at first level, and even though the rest of the party's higher level? That's the stuff I want to hear. This was Master the Game. I am Juice. Game on.